You talking to me?
Yes, I am. My name's Ben, and I'm from the Movie Vault. Who are you?
I'm Zach. I'm also from the Movie Vault.
Do you
Who are
know?
you?
Do you know this guy? Have you seen this guy?
Is that the taxi driver?
It's not the taxi driver. It is taxi driver
Oh, I'm sorry.
as a singular idea, as opposed to the taxi driver or a taxi
Isn't
driver.
the more singular than taxi driver though?
I said singular idea though. Well, I guess you're right. It's not singular.
Taxi driver just seems to be missing the.
Yeah. There was a specific reason though why it's taxi driver and not the taxi driver.
Why?
I don't know. I just know that
I thought
there
you
is.
were gonna lead into it. Well, this
Today-
intro kind of bombed.
Today we're reviewing none other than Martin Scorsese's 1976 studio epic Taxi Driver, starring Robert De Niro
Mm.
as Travis Bickle,
Mm.
who is a taxi driver.
Is Robert De Niro the past version of our Robert Pattinson?
I think that would be putting it too lightly.
What
No
does that
offense to Robert Pattinson, but I think Robert De Niro had more
mean?
more impact on society as a whole with his acting.
Who is the one now? Leo?
Yeah.
Because Scorsese
But I feel like-
thinks so.
I feel like Leo is kind of at the tail end of his, or heading towards the mid to tail end of his career.
Do you think he's given up?
So it was Leo at one point, yes.
Leo's frame is really.
I don't think Leo's given up. I'm just saying he's like well into his career. At this point, when Robert De Niro is doing Taxi Driver, he was like at the beginning of his career, basically.
Yeah, Leo's next film is One Battle After Another, right?
And that should be pretty good. Should be a
Hopefully.
pretty good performance. He's pretty good at picking projects, which maybe is something he picked up from De Niro.
Yeah,
although,
like Don't Look Up. That's a really good one.
yeah, it's a great one. You can go back to our episode on that one to
Yeah.
hear how much we
I
loved
think
it.
it's episode 46.
That sounds right.
It would
That
be
sounds
crazy
right.
if it was.
Yeah, but I think De Niro, has become more of a paycheck actor later in his career than so far Leo has.
What, Bad Grandpa is not for art?
Yeah, you're right. That is a very artistic.
Or is it Dirty Grandpa? I forget what it's
I think
called.
it's Dirty Grandpa.
Yeah.
Bad Grandpa.
Whatever. You have all these movies where it's like Dirty Mom, Dirty Dad, Bad Mom, Bad Dad. You know what I mean? Like
Bad Santa.
Yeah, exactly. Like Girls' Night Out. It's like all these different trashy, inappropriate, comedies.
Yeah. Instead, we should just be making this movie all the time.
Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
We would live in a depressing, pretty minimalistic world where we just value raw human grunting. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's like not much nuance to the emotions,
No, it hits you straight on.
Yeah.
Well, this movie was filmed in a time period where things were pretty grungy or trashy.
Is this going to be
So-
a music thing?
No,
Okay.
grunge didn't come along until the 1990s, Zach.
Okay.
I was using it as an adjective to describe how the world was, because the Vietnam War had just happened. New York City was in a bad time for the city. Crime was rampant. The city was dirty. There wasn't great leadership in the city. Actually, while they filmed this movie, there was a garbage strike. So people were just throwing their garbage on the street because there was nobody picking it up because the garbage drivers were on a strike.
Huh.
So that added to the level of dirtiness in the movie. And we see that from pretty much the start when Travis Bickle is kind of just in his taxi talking about how, you need to flush out all of the terrible things all of the terrible people in the city. He noted he's not included in this list of people. It's everyone else that's kind of the issue. But, he's kind of just the outside observer
Yeah.
taking it all in,
Hmm.
which is important to the movie as he's a very isolated guy who basically lives in his head and in his journal.
Interesting. This is, a very important film to us. We have probably talked about doing this film for 4 years now.
Yeah. Taxi Driver was a movie I watched right at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. Isn't that so nice to think about? when I was first starting to like, take movies more seriously. And I knew Taxi Driver, it's one of those movies that kind of gets brought up as a movie that you need to watch. So it was on Netflix and I watched it, and it was definitely like the most shocking film I had seen up to that point, but I could see that like it was made to create a point. It wasn't just supposed to entertain me. Actually, if I saw it as entertainment, that might be kind of a problem.
All right, before we get too far into diving into the film, let's do our question of the day. I'm going to ask you first, Ben, and then Zach will follow. If you could step into any movie universe for a week, where would you go and why?
I'm going first.
Yeah,
I think I would step into Wreck-It Ralph.
No, that's so stupid. That's terrible.
Why? There's video games and you can do all kinds of fun things. That's the universe I would step into. That's the first one that came. That was my gut reaction.
Okay. Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah, okay.
And it's fun. Fix-It Felix and Wreck-It Ralph, they're fun guys
Okay.
to hang out with.
Mine would probably be Pulp Fiction. No, I'm just joking. Probably the coolest, I guess, world building. Honestly, I might go with Fantastic Four. That's like a really cool, like futuristic, but like retro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, I like the style of it, and I like that it's high tech,
Right.
but it looks old. So it pleases all demographics.
Which is what we want to do.
Supposedly, yeah. So, yeah, probably Fantastic Four, or actually, Saving Private Ryan, or
You want to be a war hero?
Dunkirk, Thin Red Line, Platoon, Apocalypse Now. Those all sound fun, you know.
Yeah.
Taxi
For
Driver,
sure.
Definitely not Taxi Driver.
Yeah, this is a terrible world to live in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question, though. That's a great question. So, tell us a little bit about this film, Ben. This is your third time watching it?
Yes. And it is early on in Martin Scorsese's career, early on in Robert De Niro's career, and the first screenplay that Paul Schrader wrote. I don't know that it's the first one that actually got made into a movie. He had another movie called Yakuza that came around this time period. He sold that screenplay for $300,000, and that movie bombed. So it's a good thing he sold it because, he got his money.
Yeah.
But this movie was written, I think, around 1972. Schrader actually lived a period of time in his life that was similar to Travis Bickle in the sense that he was very isolated. He was an insomniac, or maybe not an insomniac. He was just nocturnal. He would walk around at night drinking through Los Angeles and essentially just destroying his body until he got a stomach ulcer and went to the hospital and had to rehabilitate. And that's where he came up with the idea of Taxi Driver. He liked the concept of someone being kind of in this like cage that they were just driving around in, observing things, especially like at night, when, that's kind of the period of time where the lonely people live, I guess you could say.
Aren't you doing night shift right now?
Yeah. But the thing is, I don't get to observe very much because I'm like pretty much locked in my...
You're locked in, is that what they say?
Yeah, I'm locked in my unit for 12 hours. And so I leave and it's like the evening and I come back and it's the morning. So it's like night didn't even happen.
Yeah, so you can just keep... It's like that's infinite day hack right there.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Wow.
If you could just somehow like do it and like somehow get the benefit of sleep while you were doing it,
yeah,
it would be like great. But
they're probably... I hope to one day invent this pill that gives you all the benefits of sleep, but it's just one pill you take a day.
You would make a lot of money.
Yes, I would. The New York Stock Exchange could no longer just be during daytime hours. It can do nighttime hours as well.
But then there would be some, like 10 years later, they'd find some sort of like side effect.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a carcinogen.
Yeah, for sure. But the question is, would it be worth it, even if it was a carcinogen?
In my lifetime, yes. But no, not at all.
Now, we are relating this to the 7 Deadly Sins arc. And the one that I picked for this one, and I think it's the best fitting, is Wrath. Even though it's not necessarily the main point of the movie, it is a major focus at times.
I have one movie that's better than this.
Okay.
At Wrath. Do you know what I'm thinking?
Oh, wait. Yes.
What?
Are you thinking There Will Be Blood?
No, I'm thinking Terrifier.
Terrifier. Okay, that would maybe be like a true display of wrath. Although
he's having more fun, I guess. It's not as much wrath.
that's what I like. Wrath has a pretty simple definition. I looked it up, and it's just said extreme anger. But I don't. The thing about the Terrifier is I don't know that he's actually like angry.
That's a solid point. Maybe There Will Be Blood is a good one. Extreme anger. I don't know.
Which you also said There Will Be Blood could be a movie about envy, which is true.
Yeah,
like,
they go hand in hand. And pride.
Things don't always have the same,
Sin is a spectrum.
Yeah. They all go back to pride, I suppose.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Yeah, this is a great film for wrath, though, because it's not necessarily that he's so angry, but it's like he has this pent-up aggression within him that kind of needs to manifest in some way, and he chooses probably the worst outlets for it to manifest.
Yeah. And so let's talk about Travis's points of wrath, because it's kind of a good way to go through the movie. So Travis early on meets a young lady. Well, I don't know so much meets as he sees and then inserts himself into her life kind of situation. So he's going by Charles Palatine's campaign office. Charles Palatine is the U.S. candidate for the Democratic Party, I think, or one of the parties.
I don't know.
For their nominee. So he's in the prelims at this point.
Yeah.
So they're campaigning for him. Travis sees him. He kind of stalks her outside of the office. Albert Brooks' character is also very socially awkwardly trying to defend or protect her, even though he's kind of like on the same level as her. I don't know how to do. Their like relationship, the Albert Brooks character and Betsy's character, is kind of odd. But eventually he works up the courage to come in and talk to her, and he's very bold. The one thing he does pull off is he's very interesting when he first. I mean, it's a little creepy, right? But then he becomes more interesting to Betsy, who's like, wow, this guy would like, kind of beshirk social norms and to come talk to me, and he's kind of intriguing. So that was what I think she thought. Now, he might not have been purposely putting aside the social norms. He just doesn't understand them, I don't think. He's potentially dealing with PTSD, being a veteran. We don't really know much about his life before. He sort of abstractly writes to his parents, but we don't even know whether to trust that.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
We know nothing about him.
Slightly numb to a lot of the things that would normally affect people. Like he goes to these film places and just watches like these disgusting sexual films, and then that's normal for him. And he didn't think it was out of the ordinary when he took that girl there. I forget her name. Yeah,
and the thing about him going to the pornographic theaters is that it doesn't seem like he views them as like it seems like he's watching them like as you were watching a movie.
Exactly.
Like he doesn't get the end out of it that other people might be seeking.
Yeah.
Which is a little, at least not that we see, and it's odd. We're just like, why does he like see this way? Yeah. And maybe it's something that happened to him in the war. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
But he definitely has no concept of like understanding, so how society is supposed to function and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. So when he does take her out, the first time they get together, he gets pie and she gets a fruit salad, and it's nice, and they have kind of an interesting conversation, and she's like, well, let's go see a movie. So she's obviously not like too put off. He gets to the second date, and that's where he messes things up by taking her to the X-rated movie.
Well, here's the thing, Ben. You never let the other person pick the movie. We know this from experience as well.
Yeah. You got to say, what kind of movies are you interested in? Like, where should we go?
Yeah. Don't ever say yes right away when someone invites you to a movie. Ask what movie. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
Now, it's a little unfair for us. Like, she would have no idea that he was going to take her to like a porn theater.
Well, if he asked her.
I suppose you're right. If she asked.
Yeah.
So this is actually her fault for this happening.
I believe so.
And he buys her a Chris Christopherson album that she referenced in conversation. Instead of flowers, I know he didn't buy flowers. He didn't buy like the normal things. He was like, oh, she likes this, I'm going to buy that.
Yeah.
Not thinking that, oh, maybe she already has it because she likes it, which ends up being the case. Well, even though he takes her to this theater and she is very hesitant to go in, she decides to go in, and like 2 seconds later, she's like, "Yeah, this is just as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of this situation." And I noticed this happened after his first encounter with Iris, where Iris gets pulled out of his cab and he gets the $20 bill.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of parallel between the scenes where Iris is getting into the cab to get away from Sport, her pimp, and she is unable to, and he's kind of like aggressively pulling her out, like telling her no. It's very like uncomfortable because it's very clear that she doesn't want to be in this situation. And then the same thing kind of happens when Betsy's trying to get into the cab to get away from Travis. And he's like, no, you need to, but he doesn't take it to that next level where he's pulling her out or like doing, because obviously it's not exactly the same. I just noticed that there's a parallel between the two scenes. And how he was probably judging Sport's character for what he did, even though in that scene he was kind of frozen. He didn't actually like, actually act on anything. But as he views himself as the observer, he stands on this like moral high ground. But then a similar situation happens to him and he views it differently because, he can always justify his actions versus the actions of others, which is actually a good, actually something that occurs in life all the time. Like I think we've talked about it in the last couple episodes. It's easier for us to justify the things that we do wrong or things that if someone else did the same thing, we would have told them to do it differently because we're the narrator of our own life.
Yeah.
Right. We're like Travis Bickle. Mm-hmm. And that's why we need people who are helping us not always be the narrator of our life, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good way
that
to look
was
at it.
One takeaway. All right. Now, other points of wrath. So I had already mentioned Iris, and she comes up again when he almost runs into her. And he carries this like $20 bill around that Sport gave him kind of symbolically. And it comes up a couple times throughout the movie. One time when he's conversing with his friends, if you can call them friends, his taxi driver associates.
They're friends.
And he's paying someone else and he pays them in ones, and then the crumpled 20 comes up and it's like kind of signifies. He's like, oh yeah, like, and I think it makes him think about the situation that she was in, because she's very clearly underage. She very clearly shouldn't be in this situation. Not that anyone should be in a situation of prostitution, but especially not Iris, right? And it's pretty clear from there's really no other way for the situation to go. Obviously, Sport has all the power over her.
Yeah.
Right. And that he almost runs into her, but in the meantime, he's formulating this plot to assassinate Charles Palantine, which kind of comes out of nowhere after he encounters Palantine actually in the cabin. They have a conversation, and then Betsy dumps him, and this seems to be what's pushing him to assassinate him.
Yeah.
But I can't figure out his motive. That I'll consider this a wrathful moment, but it's like a misplaced anger. Like, is he angry at Betsy and he's like placing it on Palantine, or does he truly not believe Palantine will accomplish what he said when he tells?
That's a good
because he directly tells Palantine, I think you need to drain this area.
Yeah.
I think we know this needs cleaned up. People are horrible.
Yeah.
Does he think that Palantine is full of it?
No, I think that he thinks of himself as the garbage man in that framework. He's saying he's getting rid of the pimps and the bad politicians who say that they're making changes. Because I think he got mad at Palantine when Palantine had a speech and he said the people, they're doing it. They're working hard to make this city a better place. And throughout the whole film, he's looking around and he's seeing all these terrible there are just so many clips of bad things happening, like people getting in fights, these little kids that have these tiny little gangs throwing rocks at the car. It's like you have these little clips of how bad humanity is, how terrible the city is. And then you see Palantine saying, people are working hard to make things better. And it made him mad, obviously. So I think he sees Palantine as part of the problem, ignoring things, sweeping it under the rug just for, publicity and getting that position. And I think he thinks that getting rid of all the problems includes the political figures, the pimps, those in charge of all that type of crime.
And so he's killing a symbol. That's usually what most assassins are doing. And this movie, I know Trussell had written a note about how Taxi Driver possibly inspired a shooting with the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan, which is true because the assassin John Hinckley Jr., who actually is releasing music you can listen to on Spotify now.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for him.
He was somehow it tied into his obsession with Jodie Foster, who played Iris in this movie.
Huh.
And so of course it's controversial for that, but it was also
different careers go on different paths. I mean, sometimes it starts off a little rough and you can go way up after that,
It was also based on an assassination attempt, kind of. So Paul Schrader talks about there was a politician from, I think I have it written in my notes somewhere. It was a political candidate or a presidential candidate who was shot and I think paralyzed from the waist down. And
was it FDR?
The attempted assassin had kept a journal. And so that was kind of like the journal was kind of an inspiration to.
If you're going to assassinate someone, stop leaving so many clues. That's the thing.
But that's the thing. That's the whole mindset of like assassinating someone. You're like, a lot of times it seems like people they have mental health issues and then they're sort of developing this ideological thing. And the act of like shooting the person is representing their stand for their political ideology.
Like Luigi
somehow.
Mangione.
Yeah, that one might be a little more straightforward than the other ones.
Yeah, because he literally killed the CEO.
He killed the CEO of Universal, and he also had something bad happen directly from Universal. So that one you can tie it easily back to revenge. Other people, it seems like really random how they get to being like, I'm going to kill this specific. I think in this case, actually, he was going to He was going to shoot Nixon, it didn't matter which guy. He just wanted to shoot one of them. With Palantine, it seems like Palatine's the one he has access to, and you said the few things upset him, so it fits with what he wants to do. And then he actually does attempt to shoot Palantine, but he doesn't do a good job. He's actually like a really terrible assassin because, first of all, he introduces himself to the Secret Service agents.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really odd conversation.
Yep.
So like they're gonna note him, and they were like, "Well, if you give me your name and address," which he's not that dumb. Like he gives them a like fake name and address, but still he's like pointed himself out as a person.
Oh, he
of
made
interest.
it so obvious by giving 6 digits in his zip code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when he tries to like disguise himself, but they're still like right on him as soon as he tries to do the assassination. He has the mohawk, the famous like wild look, and so he kind of gets chased off of there. They don't catch him, but he ends up back around where Sport has been staying. And by the way, he has had lunch with Iris and introduced himself, and he has tried to save her from her situation, which she declines, probably out of, well, first of all, she doesn't know she can trust him.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why would what has he done to prove he would be any better than any of the other guys?
Yeah.
Right? Trying to be the hero. Because they're also, like, Sports Framework is like, he's trying to put her on a pedestal, like, so that it's all this manipulation, like this emotional manipulation to be like, you have to do these things because it's actually because I love you. It's like, it's really messed up, like obviously, but. And so she has no reason to think that Travis wouldn't do the same things since she's caught in this situation. Like, why would she trust him over somebody else? But she does meet him for breakfast, and he kind of gets on her and is like, why are you doing this? Like, you should go back to your parents. And she's caught in this web of things. And it's like, no, like she has this kind of like, it seems to her like she has more independence, even though she's actually enslaved. Isn't that like ironic? Like how a lot of times when you think you have freedom, you're actually like the most trapped.
Sure.
And I'm sure like deep down she like in those moments when she was trying to escape, like she knows this isn't a good situation, but like she's gonna try to cope with it by rationalizing.
Yeah. Because
that's the natural thing to do if you're in a bad situation. If you kind of have this like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
And he calls her out on it, but she also calls him out on a few things too.
Sure.
Like for how odd he is, and
you might be just as weird as me or something like that. Yeah.
because he has all these things about what she needs to do, but I think she asked him to come to like this commune or something, and he's like, no, I don't do that, because it's clear he doesn't want to be around people. Like, he's the person who's supposed to be calling you out. You're not supposed to investigate anything about him.
Yeah.
Again, this like self-imposed isolationism is seen throughout the movie. And then the final showdown happens when he goes and he asks Sport about Iris. He says, I don't know her, probably because he's already sent a guy up there.
Yep.
He shoots Sport. He shoots the doorman, who, by the way, he had given the $20 bill to.
Yeah.
So that seemed to be symbolic. And he also shoots the guy who was with Iris. And then he shoots somebody again, I think. Oh, either Sport. He gets shot a couple times as well. But they were apparently non-lethal, even though one looked like it was right.
Glazed his neck.
It looked like it was right in his jugular. But
yeah, maybe his carotid.
I guess if he got it like patched up before.
Yeah.
And then a great shot at the end, of course, when he does the fingers to the head, because he ran out of bullets. He was going to kill himself.
Yeah.
But he ran out of bullets.
Yep.
And then the police come. He has the fingers to the head, and then they have this like really great like above. Like crane shot looking down. Everything's like paused. The police have come in. They're pointing the gun at him, and then it like kind of slowly moves backwards through the scene. It was just like really interesting compared to like how the rest of the other movie was shot. Like why he did it that way.
Yeah, it was very different. I mean,
it's almost like surreal. Like I feel like the end was kind of dreamlike compared to the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all a little bit dreamlike because of the haze of like living at night and stuff. But then to go further on that, we get the news article that paints him as a hero, which of course we know he's not really a hero. He's just, he almost did a horrible thing, and he like kind of backed his way into doing something that was maybe heroic, even though he still like murdered these people. Like he didn't let the justice system do its job if you care about that.
I always thought that he
shot Sport first.
Yeah.
The rest of it was maybe out of self-defense, but
yeah.
I mean, obviously we can look at it and be like, we're glad that ultimately that brought Iris out of the situation. So, good came out of it, but I'm sure the way he went about it is not the right way.
It was surprising that when I first watched this, that he kind of came out as a hero on the other end of it.
Yeah, that's not what you expect. And Schrader talks about that, how it's almost like the movie wouldn't have been right if he just killed Palantine. Like that wouldn't have.
Yeah.
It wasn't the logical conclusion. It wouldn't have made you think about the same things, because that's kind of where you expect it to go.
Yeah.
You kind of need it to, and it forces you to think more about how you think about Travis, seeing that he did something that seemingly is somewhat good and is viewed as a hero. So you have to do more searching within yourself on the topics and how you think about the movie. It makes it a little bit more complex.
And it really didn't matter to him. He kind of just wanted to kill someone.
Yeah.
It seems. So like it could have been this political guy who never really wronged him, or it could have been this guy, this pimp. Obviously one of them in our heads deserves to die more, right? But I guess the fact that he somehow just chose to kill the worst guy makes him a hero in some sense.
And he kind of accidentally did it, because he was going to kill somebody. He just picked who everyone would be like, yeah, that's a great person.
Yeah.
Which doesn't often happen in these like kind of shooting situations. A lot of times people don't pick the person who you're like, oh yeah, I could see a motive. People want, like, when things happen that are kind of seem random, or like the motives are like way more complex or harder to ascribe, I think it makes everyone a lot more fearful. Mm-hmm. So it makes us feel better when it's like, oh, I see why he killed this person. Yeah. It's not necessarily like we're saying that we think it's right that he killed them, but it's like we understand it. We can make logic out of it, and it makes us less afraid of like, versus some of these like more random shootings where it's like, I don't see why this person like was led to shoot this person, Yeah. And of course, like with everything that's happened since Taxi Driver, like mass shootings and things have gone up. And I'm sure this movie, people interpret it lots of different ways than they did when they first watched it, when people first watched it in 1976. And then we get that scene with Betsy at the end, which I think is the most surreal scene in the whole movie, where she goes, "Hey, Travis, how's it going? He's like,
Mhm.
oh no, I read about you in the papers. And it's like, did that actually happen? Like, did Betsy actually like seek out his cab? Like,
Mhm.
I think that's the one part of the movie that I could point out and be like, I think that was like in it made up.
Well,
Like, I don't think that
Scorsese
actually happened.
says that some people interpret that as kind of his dying dream, but Scorsese says that it's actually like for real, and that the last scene of Bickle glancing at that unseen object implies that Bickle will fall into rage and recklessness in the future, and that he is like a ticking time bomb. He says, "I don't know. Am I allowed to disagree with?" Schrader actually said it was not a dream sequence. That he
And
envisions
Schrader
it as the beginning of the film, like a return to the beginning of the film.
Yeah,
but
to Schrader's credit, he doesn't seem like somebody who's like real interested in like surrealism necessarily.
No, not really.
So, at least not in this movie.
But do you think like we're allowed to disagree with the directors and say no, that's a dream sequence?
Yeah, I think that's the point of film.
All right.
It takes a lot. I mean, the guy hasn't even gone back and watched his own movie, so how
That's
can
true.
you say?
You've seen it. You've seen the movie more than him.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? That's insane.
So,
What do you think about the score? Because we're about to do an Outside the Vault on the scores.
well, I may have more to say, but I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
And it's interesting because so Schrader and Scorsese, they got interviewed in like 2012 together about this movie, and Schrader was kind of like, I expected this to have like a lot of needle drops, which it did have like one needle drop I noticed in the middle of the movie. He's watching TV and like, I don't know what song it is, but it's a pop song came on. And that's kind of what Scorsese is known for. Like, and I guess at this point he had only really done like Mean Streets that had, and a few other movies, but those movies had needle drops where it's like, you license a song, you play it in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people like Gimme Shelter is in like 3 of his movies.
Mm-hmm.
He loves like rock and roll. He's done multiple like rock documentary style stuff. So you just expect that out of him. But instead he was like, no, I'm going to hire Bernard Herrmann, who barely made it to making this movie. He like died like a week or two after like they finished the score to do this. And I think it really makes the movie, like the score, in my opinion. It adds like
they
a
finished
whole
the score a few hours before he died. Isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was very cinematic end to his life. It's like he knew he had one more in him.
Just one last note.
Because I guess like I was listening to another podcast and they're like, yeah, the daughter didn't think that he could make the score. He was like that sick. It wasn't like it wasn't like he had a heart attack or something.
That reminds me of what's the guy from The Straight Story?
Oh,
Joseph, or I don't remember.
I forget what his name is, but you're right. Where it's like he did the one more thing and then he like died like right after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something McFarlane. I don't know. Yeah. The score itself is quite amazing. I think it fits. It really brings a tone to the film that's like dreary and a little bit, I guess, just dark. There's no other way to put it. I think it's dark.
But it has some like moments of like clarity, levity.
Oh, and I love the jazz. The saxophone's wonderful.
That little like, it brings a calmness to the film.
Yeah, but it's like a dark, in my opinion.
But then when the
brings
percussion
darkness.
ramps up,
Yes.
and then there's a few like times where it's like maybe more
yes.
minor notes are utilized and sounds a little creepier.
Yes. Yeah. It kind of brings the film together for me. I think it filled in all the gaps because this film is a slow burning film. I mean, it's not terribly slow, but it's mildly slow, and the music kind of creates an ambiance in the city that's like, oh, this is normal life for people in the city. Like, let's play some smooth jazz in the background, and like, this is normal, you know, like Saturday Night Live, yeah, haha, you know. I had that kind of vibe, but then you watch the next clip and it's some guy beating up a girl, you know, and it's like, okay, you know. So it's just that type of darkness, calm darkness, maybe is a good way to put it. Scorsese himself is in the film, which is pretty cool. He plays that guy who's just trying to kill his wife for cheating on him.
Yeah. Apparently Schrader was upset that he did it, but then he was like, because he's like, Scorsese is an egoist, so like if he if he won't let someone tell you like it's a bad idea, but he said he did a great job, so it ended up working out.
Yeah,
but
it did not take me out of the film.
No, I mean at this point in time, you don't view Scorsese as like that young guy with a beard. Like,
no,
he doesn't look like that at all. So it really doesn't take you out of the film.
He looks so different. His facial structure is different too.
And he really, I mean, he plays that part well. I think it's just another example of like how broken the city is and how he's like, it's just all around. It's disturbing. It's uncomfortable, but that describes like a lot of the scenes in this movie.
And this was great, but nothing beats like Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino coming in the scene, and he's just in his house and he doesn't want his wife to find out that there's a body there, and like he's like, come on, like get out of my house, come on.
Because it's just like Quentin Tarantino, it just fits his who he is.
Nothing beats that automated cameo right there. So people booed this film at the Cannes.
Well, it's controversial, so I could see it.
But you kind of said like it kind of, to be honest, this movie in a Pulp Fiction way like predicted what the future, not only of film but of society at large, would kind of be, where it's like this isolationist mindset where people, I mean really this is essentially baseline isolationism, and it's really grown in our culture, especially with young men. Tremendously. Sigma. Yeah. And this is like, I think we taled about this yesterday.
Or like incel culture, I guess.
Yeah. It's less Sigma male and more isolationism. Because Sigma male is isolationist, but a little bit attention seeking,
Yeah.
This is not as much attention seeking. It's more just like clinically, there's something wrong there.
Also, it's interesting. Well, because you could tie this to the incel, because he's like yearning for a relationship with a woman, and then he gets like really mad when he's just like doesn't set it up well, and he's just like retaliating. But I feel like his motives for that are a little different than maybe we would typically ascribe. Like I think his come out. I mean, maybe it always comes out with the incel. Like there's like a lack of understanding of what human interaction is and what it's supposed to be like. But it's just like there's so many deeper seated other issues in his life. Like it's just clearly not gonna work. Like when you have that many issues, like you can't expect to have a functioning relationship with another person either.
I have a really good question.
Yeah.
Is this movie deep?
So I keep bringing up Schrader because I read a lot of his stuff, but he called this a really good work of juvenile fiction.
That's a great way to put it.
So I think it's deep, but it's because the premise is well thought out. That's not necessarily because it's making some like really profound point. It's more about it's setting up a really great premise for you to be like, okay, this is an extreme. How should I think about this as I observe other people functioning in society, and I guess somewhat yourself. You're like, most people aren't living to this extreme, but maybe you can find some tendencies within yourself to go away from people instead of going towards them. Or I think a lot like I've been saying, the pedestal effect of like always being able to look at yourself as the moral superior and looking down on other people.
No, that's a good part.
Like I put myself on the moral superior because I'm like looking down on all these people who I think put themselves up on a, like, I'm like, well, I don't put myself on a pedestal like those people do.
Yeah. I'm better than them because I demean myself,
Yeah. Or like stuff like that. Like clearly,
even right now, you're demeaning yourself.
Yeah, we're just putting myself on a pedestal because I'm doing it publicly.
Yeah, and even us explaining it in this meta commentary, it's a little bit like we're just trying to get it out there. So we're always ranking up.
Yeah.
Tressel, did you like this film at all?
I don't think I liked it as much as either of you guys.
Well, that's not I don't think that's an unexpected first reaction to this movie.
Yeah, I might watch it again and like it more down the road, but for my first watch, I did not enjoy it as much as either of you guys did. I did find a lot of callbacks to The Joker, which I know is kind of a modern movie, but it was heavily influenced by Taxi Driver, as I read about after watching The Joker. And I do like that movie, unfortunately. But yeah, this movie heavily influenced that one.
Yeah, I see that. Especially I think like at the end when Joker's kind of trying to just kill someone like a public figure and he shoots the commentary host in the head and he does the head thing. That seemed to be the gun to the head thing. That seemed to be really Taxi Driver-esque.
And the whole isolationist idea. Yeah. I mean, the other movie that was really influenced Joker was The King of Comedy, which is another kind of version of this type of story. like
Also Robert De Niro.
also
and
Robert De
Scorsese.
Niro and Scorsese, and it's a really good movie as well, and it has more of maybe the Joker, the like clown.
I have a prediction where that one will rank in your Scorsese ranking
do?
later. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a prediction.
Okay.
So funny thing is, De Niro actually married the concession stand worker in real life. I didn't know that.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Another thing is the intro. Travis, is this the intro to the score or intro?
This is the intro to where they're showing the taxi and the different clips from around the city, as well as the clips in the rearview mirror and everything in the beginning.
Okay, so that intro was created by the same guy who made the Star Wars intro. You know that one?
Oh wow,
Isn't that crazy?
that is crazy.
So like this kind of had like the top tier people working on it. It seems.
Which was interesting because they didn't pay anybody a lot of money. So De Niro got $35,000. This was after he won the Academy Award for Godfather Part 2. So his name was like a lot bigger than initially because everyone like stuck with the project. Because I think Scorsese got the project while he was working on Mean Streets, which came out in 1973.
Okay.
And he thought it was good, but he was still making Mean Streets. So
Okay.
he didn't have time to make it at that moment.
Yeah.
I think Schrader was pretty like sold on he wanted De Niro and Scorsese, which is a lot more power than most writers probably have.
Yeah.
But since everyone stuck together, it made it work.
Well,
So I think
Scorsese
some of the
made $65K and De Niro made $35K. That's so low.
I know.
That's crazy.
But the thing about De Niro is that, he could have like said, I'm not doing it, or you have to pay me a lot more, which this movie probably wasn't going to make that much money, like realistically. You said I got booed at Cannes. It wasn't going to be like Jaws,
Oh yeah.
Taxi Driver was way darker. I mean, there's scenes in this that, as desensitized as we are just like you can barely watch them because the dialogue is so uncomfortable. So it just wasn't going to play well you can't bring your kids to this.
Unless your kids
unless
are
you're like
20 years old.
a terrible, if they're older or you're not a good parent.
Then I'm going to take my kids to watch this movie when it's the 70th anniversary,
Yeah.
And Robert De Niro is 130 years old in a cryogenic
Yeah,
chamber.
everyone's still alive. That's
Yeah.
the crazy part about this. But De Niro saw the long play, which is that this movie would be important to his brand, which maybe isn't what he's just like, I'm an actor. I want to act in movies that are trying to do something important.
Yeah.
And he always saw that in his career, I think.
So to go off of great, you gave a wonderful explanation, covered all my points. I don't think this movie is terribly deep, and I think Tressel summarized it with, you can make it about as deep as you want to. Like you can say like, oh, there's so much psychology in this, but really it's like the psychology is pretty simple. It's isolationism. It's this idea of there's something wrong there. And to be honest, we can create all these categories, but we don't necessarily know what the brain chemistry that's going on in there is. And again, I'm very much speaking simplicity into complicated systems of brain neurochemistry and everything. But at the end of the day, like even Paul Schrader is saying like it's pretty juvenile, and I kind of agree with it because it just seems like like killing, like
Yeah.
like that.
That's like
kinda,
an edgy. It's like somebody who's like writing their first work that they're like, this is like edgy and deep and but
What
they
level
haven't
of-
developed their like taste necessarily, or although I will bring up a few influences if it doesn't distract
No,
you
you're
from
good.
where you're going. So a big influence on this, first Dostoevsky, on both people, Schrader and
Okay.
Scorsese. They both read Notes from the Underground, which I haven't read, but a lot of Dostoevsky's writing comes from that. I read Crime and Punishment, and that book is like extremely about just so much about isolationism, and it's very, you could draw some direct comparisons, but Notes from the Underground is the one that is specifically referenced. And then Schrader had read Sartre's Nausea and had said that was influential. And then the filmmaker who was most influential on this movie, which I thought was interesting, was Robert Bresson. So the movie Pickpocket.
Yeah.
Not the one we reviewed, A Man Escaped, which I think has some similarities to Pickpocket, but that really like detailed, just like focused, like it's one guy and he's writing a journal and he's doing this. So yeah, from that standpoint, I think that's what makes it like simple, because it honestly, it is Bressonian in the sense that it's a little less meticulous, and it becomes a little more grand, which I think is what Scorsese brings to it.
It elevates to a more cinematic epic near the end, where Bresson is you're right, it's very ground level, like it's showing the hand motions of every action.
I think this gets a little more out of hand than Bresson would have done.
Oh, for sure. Bresson wouldn't have done a big shootout at the end of the
exactly. He seems somebody who's very like into realism, where this kind of transcends realism a little bit.
Oh yes.
So, but I thought it was interesting, since we've actually reviewed. You can go back and listen to our Man Escaped episode if you're into film history, because once I didn't necessarily pick that out, but once I read that, I was like, oh yeah, I see it.
It's funny you bring it up. I actually I made plans at home for a Bresson watch list, so I'll be going through some of those. What do you think a character today because this was 50 years ago, right? This movie, almost. The character of Travis, what is our modern day equivalent of Travis in a film? I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, I honestly think Trestle was kind of on the nose with Joker.
Joker's
like
a good one.
Most people, if you ask them, they would be like Joker. I think we got two versions of it in the early 2010s with Drive and Nightcrawler, both of which we've reviewed. I think Drive, a little bit more optimistic take on the Travis Bickle character, potentially.
A little bit more in tune with his emotions.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, he was a little less like the PTSD, mental health stuff, more just like coming out of being...
Nightcrawler, Jake Gyllenhaal's a really good example.
Nightcrawler, more pessimistic take. Yeah. Right? Like just pure evil.
Something's
a guy
off
who's
there.
like isolated, but also like just purely
but
evil.
that's if you take Whiplash and Taxi Driver and maybe just Jake Gyllenhaal's natural personality and mix them together.
Yeah.
That's what Nightcrawler is.
But I think like that, like lonely isolationist figure. I mean, you have Fight Club written down here. Like Fight Club's not a bad example, because it's literally like, I'm so isolated, I've split myself into two people. Sorry for spoilers, but
well, I think Fight Club was put on there too because it seems to be a film that maybe is a level 2 in the, it's like you're just getting into film.
Yeah, which I would put Taxi Driver in there.
Yeah, and it seems
maybe
to be like
3 if you're like you miss it on level 2. But
it's like an Inception, where it's like these movies, to be honest, like Taxi Driver, Fight Club, Inception, so many, Shawshank Redemption, are made to be the greatest, deepest films of all time when they're not extremely deep. I'm not gonna lie.
They're made to be the deepest movies for the widest audience, I think.
Yeah, but it's still a shallow pool. But it's not a kiddie pool, right? It's not Cars. It's a shallow pool though.
It's not.
And when you get into the deep end, that's where the true darkness comes out. Okay, the true darkness of Tarkovsky or whatever you want to put in, fill in the blank. All those films kind of come from like swimming. That's when your ears pop, at the bottom of the pool. You're swimming down.
That's when you're swimming in like Soviet chemical gases.
And your ears pop.
Which,
your
by
eyes
the way, there
out.
were, I think, issues with that on some of Tarkovsky's sets.
Sure. Yeah.
Chemical poisoning.
Yeah, that makes that. I'm not surprised. But I just want to be clear, like, just because I am debasing people who have their favorite movie as Inception, I am debasing you. Sorry if that's you. I very much still love that film. And I very much still love this film. I very much love Fight Club. And I love these films. I just don't hold them higher than they need to be. But I'm also not going to be a pessimist and hold them lower to where they need to be. I'm trying to find where they're truly at, but it's hard when there are so many opinions on these movies,
Yeah, I think I still consider this one I rated a 5-star. The second time I watched it, I remember being a lot more depressed. I don't know whether like the shock of it all the first time, but the second time I noticed, man, this is really dark. Like, not, you're right. Thematically, it's not like super deep, but like it does bring a lot of darkness in.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of evil, a lot of bad things,
Yeah.
And so I think I realized that the second time around, I was like, oh, this is really like uncomfortable. And this time I think I watched enough movies that while it was still uncomfortable, it's like I expected those feelings maybe a little bit more. And then I'm still like, no, it's really well made. It's a really well made movie. Now we'll get to our Scorsese rankings to see whether I consider it my favorite of his. But and it's all the pieces together. I think I'm gonna keep talking about Paul Schrader so much because I think what I realized, and I'm realizing more, is I love Artur theory, but a person who is really against Artur theory who was really good friends with Paul Schrader was Pauline Kael, who was a really influential film critic. And Schrader basically became first a film critic and then a screenwriter because Pauline Kael was like, nah, you don't want to be a minister. You want to be a screenwriter after a conversation with her. So he went to UCLA Film School, thought he was going to be a critic, ended up writing this script. And then from this point, he became actually a director more so than a screenwriter even. He directed, I think, over 20 films. First Reformed is his most well-known, which is a relatively recent film. But it shows that, like, without Schrader's vision, there never would have been the concept for the idea, right? Which there are writer-directors, right? So some directors do all the writing and all the directing, which Scorsese has done, and sometimes he co-writes and this and that. But without Scorsese, I think there was a lot of things he did that elevated the script. Like, he took out some of the dialogue that Schrader wrote, which Schrader then realized, he was like, oh, once I saw it on camera, I realized we didn't need the dialogue. Like, the symbol of the taxi and all this stuff was enough to showcase, which we always talk about when we talk about Malick and things. Like, when you're making a movie, it's good to have good dialogue, but you also want to remember that there's a reason you're making a movie and not writing a book, right? Or not writing a play. So, and there are good movies that have a lot of dialogue, but, like, just think about how the art form is so much more than just writing. Like, you can also have visuals and things. So that's where Scorsese comes in. And then without De Niro pulling off, like, just like buying into this role, like Tressel had mentioned, he like actually like got a taxi, became a taxi driver, drove people around. So it's a whole team effort. And so maybe our tour theory, maybe we're coming back around on that. Maybe it's not always quite all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah. I think just because Paul Schrader has a directing personality and mindset, I would say that this could still fall under our tour theory because maybe this movie had two directors.
Yeah, even though at the time he wasn't really a director, but he was very hands-on for a writer, it seemed like.
Oh, yes.
It seemed like he had a lot of influence on the film.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he even said De Niro, like, wore clothing articles of his. Like, it's almost like De Niro was looking at Schrader and being like, this is who I'm basing this character off of.
Yes, for sure.
Which is crazy.
Let's get into your guys' rating of the film. I know Ben just said his a minute ago, but we'll do it
5
again.
out of 5.
Spoiler alert. All right, I'm going to count down, and you guys will say it at the same time. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
5. I didn't change it in the 2 seconds. I could have. That would have been like, well, I knew Zach's was a 4, but
yeah.
I already
explained my letterbox.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to post these after the review then.
Yeah, we got to post it that we watch them after.
Tressel, what'd you give it?
I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Wow.
3 out of 5.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, well, 3, 4, and 5 is
it just shows everyone's scales of rating and how they view movies are different.
Everybody's different,
Everyone's different.
Yeah, but listen, I gave it a 4 because I still love it. 4s are lovable, rewatchable, amazing films. For me, it can't be a 5. It just can't. It's not. It doesn't hit those right spots for me. I'm against a lot of the things in this film. Most people probably are against the bad themes in this film, of course. That's not the point of it. But it's just like, it's not a super fun film. And I do require like 10% fun in a film.
And this has very little fun.
Yeah. But I think it's a great performance by Robert De Niro. Not his greatest. Definitely not his greatest. Yeah, maybe we could do our rankings in as well. Top 5.
Are we doing top? We're doing top 7.
Oh, 7. I'm sorry. I did say 7, didn't I? That's my bad. I'll start with my number 7, and then you can do 2, and then I'll do 2.
Okay.
My number 7. I've only seen 7 Scorsese films.
That's why we're doing a top 7.
Yeah, because you've seen many more.
Not really. I've only seen 11.
Oh.
He has like 25 movies.
Yeah.
26. Yeah. So yeah. I got some definite holes in my Scorsese viewing.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there's some duds in there from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But
wait, have we seen Casino?
I've seen it.
Okay. I don't know if I've seen it. Hugo is number 7. Just And then
Hugo is my number 11.
Yeah, so. Good. And then in my number. Oh wait, but
we're not doing 11.
You got to do your 7. Stop.
I'm already messing up.
My number 6 is Shutter Island.
Okay.
What are your 7 and 6?
My 7. Oh.
Wait, actually, I do 7, then you do 6.
I realized that I didn't even put Shutter Island on my list, and I have watched it. But I don't think it'll impact my rankings.
Yeah, 6, 7.
It it won't impact my rankings, so I'll just ignore that. I've seen 12 Scorsese movies apparently.
Okay.
So my number 7 is Casino.
Okay.
And it's great. But it is my last of his mafia movie. No, that's not true. Kind of. 7 is Casino, and 6 is The Irishman.
Okay. So you're an Irishman guy.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought, maybe if you just are like looking at it also to just like appreciate all the careers of the people who are involved in the movie, like you can read it that way too. Yeah. But it is like actually a good movie. Like I enjoyed it.
I mean, that was like right before COVID. I remember that coming out, and people were like, "It's 3 hours long on Netflix. It's crazy. It's 3 hours long." But it's just the first time people on Netflix are watching a Martin Scorsese film. What's your number 6 or it's 5?
My number 5 is Mean Streets.
That's a good one.
I love the symbolism.
Haven't seen it.
It's a good movie. Harvey Keitel. And Robert De Niro.
Yep. My next one, my number 5 is The Color of Money. I love this film. It's like pool.
It's awesome.
Ecstasy. Yeah. I love it, and I love why Paul Newman elevates in entropates.
He elevates anything he's in.
Oh yes, he's so.
I saw him in the Hudsucker Proxy recently. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Paul Newman.
It's the Coen film.
He's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my number 4 is Taxi Driver.
Number 4 is Taxi Driver.
Yep.
My number 4 is After Hours.
Oh.
Kafka-esque.
Yes.
Just.
Did this film remind you of Caught Stealing?
Yes, it did. I definitely did. It's actually more wild in some ways than Caught Stealing. Like he goes to like weirder places. Yep. But maybe it's just more of like the 80s weird versus 2020s weird.
Yeah.
Because I guess there was more of an assimilation of like different cultures, like actual like nationalities versus After Hours had a lot of like weird subcultures of people, but they're all white.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. What's your number 3?
Goodfellas is my number 3. And I'd say my top 3, I could see myself switching around in the future in multiple different ways.
Goodfellas is also my number 3. We'll move on. My number 2 is After Hours. I love After Hours.
After Hours is very good.
So good. It seems like an odd one in the Scorsese filmography.
It's one that gets overlooked a lot, but it's really good.
Because it's not a mafia movie. It's not a depressed person. It's just some
it's
guy
who's more of a lower scale movie compared to a lot of his.
But I love smaller scale movies. I'm almost done with the movie Pi, Aronofsky's Pi. I love the film so far. What's your number 1? Or number 2?
My number 2 is Taxi Driver.
Oh, that's good.
See the rest of the podcast for a while.
And let's both say our number 1s at the same time. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
The King of Comedy.
I knew it was the King of Comedy.
I didn't even put Raging Bull on my list.
Then where is Raging Bull? I was like, how is it not in your top 7? You got to kick off the Irishman.
I think it would go in front of The Irishman and Casino, and maybe in front of Mean Streets too. I'm sorry, guys.
It's
I
okay.
messed that up.
Raging Bull is so good though. That's my number 1. I love boxing films. I just love it. It's like Rocky but grittier.
Yeah. It is a grittier Rocky. I think I have a hard time with also co-written by Paul Schrader, I think.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that movie for the same reason you have a hard time with Taxi Driver, and that I don't view it as a very fun movie. It's really artistic. It's really well written. It's good, but it's just like so like
he's
crushing.
Mean to his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. And King of Comedy I haven't seen, but you speak so highly. I predicted it would be your number 1.
Yeah, King of Comedy is my favorite, kind of for similar reasons. I think that After Hours is up there. It's a smaller scale movie. It's so wild. It did terrible at the box office. It was a bomb, but it's kind of more of a cult classic. And I just think that it took a lot of the ideas of Taxi Driver and made them more interesting and fun.
Yeah.
And not just like depressing and sad.
Yeah.
So I think, and I think it's overall very underrated. So sorry everyone for lying. I've actually seen 13 Martin Scorsese movies, and Raging Bull would have been 5th.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm glad you have Hugo at the bottom.
144 episodes in, and we're still making mistakes like this. Yes. Unacceptable, guys.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yep. What was your favorite part of Taxi Driver, Ben?
The soundtrack.
Really?
Like, actually.
Yeah.
I was trying to think favorite scene, because the end shootout's pretty good. I mean, the sequence where he buys the
Yeah.
gun is kind of funny. Like, there's not many funny parts to this movie, so anything you're kind of grasping
Now,
at.
if you are laughing at it, we might question you.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you're talking to me because it's so famous.
Mhm.
You know, are you talking to me? And in Lahane,
Yeah.
they just like copy it. So I love when people do that. I love when people just like copy other people's work.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, those are probably the standout sequences.
Yeah.
Just any scene where Travis is just driving around the taxi.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think my favorite might be when he gets the advice from that guy near the taxi, and
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
the guy was like, "Well, we're all doomed anyway. Just do whatever you want." And he's like, "I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." I like that scene a lot.
He was just smiling. He's
Yeah.
like, I think that's the dumbest thing.
And the guy was like,
"Well,
"Well, what do I know?"
I'm a taxi driver."
Yeah. Like, and it was just like, what is that scene for?
Wasn't he the wizard or something?
Yeah, like that's what they call me, the wizard. And then he's like, "Well, what do I know? I'm a taxi driver."
I also forgot like that he actually like does kill someone before the end sequence, like
Yeah.
that person who robbed this
Yeah.
person in the store,
Yeah.
and they call him killer before he does that.
Yep.
So it's like he just walks around with like he's seen some things and he's probably done some things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of assumptions running with it, and he doesn't have that, like, he has no issue killing someone if he's given any sort of reason to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
He also gets called Copper and Cowboy and Narc. Lots of nicknames for Travis.
Yeah. Well, do you have any final thoughts for the film before we talk about the wonderful insurance agency that is providing us the wonderful care and insurance that they do?
Not really. Just if you want to dig more into this film, I think reading Paul Schrader's interview with Paul Thompson that happened in 1976 is going to be the best.
Big famous interview.
Yeah.
I guess.
That you can. It seems like everyone pulls the trivia off of that interview.
Yeah.
So that's a good place to go. I mean, you could go scene by scene through this movie, and like there's just like things that happen that are just like, I wonder what the meaning behind that is. Like, I still don't know that I've really fully unpacked like the $20 bill and like why it's like, is it just supposed to be symbolic just cause, or is there like,
well, it's like from what I took from that was like he was being paid to be a part of the problem of the city, right? And then he paid it back because he's going to get rid of those problems. Like he's going to be the hero in his mind.
yeah,
But he also doesn't care about being the hero at the same time. He like kind of is just fixating on death and terrible things, you know?
I also think it's
PTSD.
interesting, like he ran out of bullets. He had so many guns, he still ran out of bullets to kill himself at the end.
Yeah.
Like, what was the, like, I mean, obviously maybe for the film's plot they wanted to keep him alive, but like he could have like jumped out of the window or something, right? Like
He
they must have
didn't
saw
care.
that as fate. That like,
well, there wasn't much thought into it. He clearly he didn't like shake. He didn't even hesitate. He just reached for the gun and went for the head, and it didn't do anything. Like there wasn't much. He's not like, his values are just broken.
right?
His value of life.
And then I liked how Schrader describes the script as Protestant and the shooting of the film as Catholic.
Because it's grandiose in its
So,
shooting, but it's pretty like individualized in the
writing. So if you want to do more digging into that, feel free.
Yeah, I think my takeaway is love it. That's my takeaway.
Good takeaway.
And that I think directors should put themselves in their own movies more.
I
I
don't
think
know if
they
I
should.
agree with that.
I think they should.
I think more often than not, it would not go this well.
No, I think they should. Of course, it depends on the director, but I think the ones that I like, they should. Yeah, I think this is finally like we're done with this film and we got through it. And you'll have to join us on the Outside the Vault. Maybe this score will get in the Outside the Vault episode on top 5 best scores. Maybe you'll have to meet us there in the next episode. Yeah, I guess that's all I got. Call Point A Insurance for your insurance need.
Formerly Hedman Anglin Agency, now
Yes.
Point A Insurance. Your mission
Is our future. What is it?
That's we butchered it.
Wait, what is it? Remind me. Your mission.
Wait, no,
No, you butchered it.
I butchered it. Our mission
Is your future.
Your success.
Oh, wait. Our mission, your success.
Yeah.
Okay, let's ignore everything before. This is the actual tagline. Go.
Point A Insurance. Our mission.
Your success. Is that right?
Watch that be like not actually the tagline.
Our mission.
The
your
important part
success.
is call 614-486-7300 for great deals on insurance. And it's actually a big day today because we're having the rebranding festival in lovely Hilliard, Ohio, and it's going to be great.
Big ribbon cutting ceremony.
Yes.
And we will all be present. It'll be a fun time. Point A is stock is going through the roof. And it's not a publicly traded company. I'm not saying anything legal here. It's just more of a phrase.
Right.
Yeah.
Buy now or forever hold your peace.
Yes.
You want to close the vault?
Yeah. You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me?